Let's get creative. You heard it. Let's get creative with double exposure. Take a look at on screen the photos that we will be doing and working on today on this live tutorial of Snapseed, which is a free app you can download on your phone, which means yes, we can get creative on the go. Our objectives for today are going to be 1. Learn how to make double exposure, and 2. Which photos should I choose to create a double exposure? On screen, we have the first one that we will be doing. We're going to be actually doing 2. So the first one is a really cool landscape of some mountains with trees, and then we added some little birds and clouds and a nice sunset to it. I thought that it looked pretty cool. And the second photo is a little bit more artistic, and it's more like of a feeling. So we have these leaves that are on a white background and this beautiful seascape, which we absolutely love with those pastel colors. So remember that you can download these same 4 photos down in the link below. And I am Giselle Behrens for Photo TV NYC, helping you make better photos and today, getting creative. So hit that subscribe button if you do want to learn how to make better photos in seconds. I am over here, and on my right hand side I have my screen of my phone, which is actually live. So any adjustments that I will be doing, you will be doing them with me. I'm going to first tap on my plus button when you already have your Snapseed app downloaded, and it's from Google. So again, you can download it free from iPhone or for Android, and the links, you know where they are. I'm going to tap on the plus sign and look for my first photo, which is the mountain. And once you have this mountain open, all you're going to do is locate tools on your screen right here on the bottom center, and we're going to locate double exposure, which are 2 circles that overlap one on top of another. So I'm just going to tap on that. When you're here on your window, on your working window, you want to locate this sign, which is the typical plus sign of add an image, and this is exactly where we're going to go. Now the really cool thing is that if you leave your finger tapped and just tap multiple ones of these, you can actually add more than one. But today we're just going to add one because we're going to keep it simple. We already have our canvas, which is the mountain. So I'm going to look for my bird photo, which is right here with the sunset and the clouds, and I'm going to tap on it, and automatically it just goes on top of the photo with some opacity. Now what we do want to do is go to this little stack of filters, and on this stack of filters we're going to have several options which read default, lighten, darken, add, subtract, and overlay. You can play around with them and just see which ones you prefer. This is such a creative and fun process that it's really about how you're feeling and what your intention is, what you want to share, the colors that you see. So it's very subjective. And for example, I selected overlay for this particular example. So before pressing the check mark, we're going to go to our third icon, which is a little drop. It's a little drop, like half filled. So just tap on that, and this is going to help us play around with the opacity of the photo that we just added on top, which is the birds and the clouds with the sunset. So here on your little slider with the dot, you just want to slide it to the right and to the left, and this is going to play around with the opacity. So as you slide it more to the right, you're going to have more opacity. As you slide it more to the left, less opacity. It's very intuitive. So I'm going to leave it at around a little bit more than halfway. The other really cool part is that with your fingers, just zoom in using both fingers on your screen, and you can actually adjust the size and the rotation of the image that you're adding on top as the layer on top. So for example, I really liked these 2 birds over here, which I'm showing you on screen, and I'm actually enlarging them to locate them right in between this little over here, this little V that forms, and that's just me playing around. Again, you guys can get creative, get fun, and I'm just gonna leave it like this. I might do a little bit less opacity. We can play around with these: lighten, darken, add, subtract, overlay. And I'm going to go a little bit less than halfway. You can always go back to it and see how it feels. It's a very creative process, as I've said. So I'm going to go ahead, press my check mark, and there is my photo with double exposure. So I'm going to hit the export button right on the bottom right, and I'm going to save a copy on my phone. You can actually share it directly with your friends and family if you'd like. Now I'm going to go to my second photo, so I'm going to hit my open button again. And this is just to give you a few examples of the photos that you can create with double exposure, but really the possibilities are endless, right? So here's my leaf photo, and I'm going to, again, go to Tools, locate double exposure right there, and we're going to add a photo right here. So for this one, we're going to add the cliff with the seascape and this awesome sunset as well that is going on with the waves. Now, if I go over here to my opacity, I want to show you the background image for a second, and I want you to see the positive and negative spaces it has. So when I usually do double exposure, I like to have photos that have a lot of negative or positive space and that they're very pragmatic, because this way the double exposure is actually going to look like the silhouette or just look like the details of this photo, and combine it with one that is either airy or perhaps if you want a little bit more heavy. It really depends on what you're looking for. But for me, that it's really important to have the positive and negative space. So when I do add, I want to see that positive and negative space of the leaves. Now on this photo of the cliff, this bottom area on screen is a little bit too dark for me, and it's actually taking away my negative space of the leaves on the top. So what I'm going to do with my two fingers, just as we did last time, I'm going to enlarge my seascape and make sure that that dark area gets cropped off, and that leaves the space more airy. It leaves it more open and cleaner, so then our eyes only focus on the contrast, which is the leaves in this case. So now that I like my crop of the image, we're going to go to our filters again, that little stack of filters, and we're just going to play around with them. This one is lighten. I like over here how the leaves, you can see the water through the leaves. You can go darken. That's pretty awesome as well. Add doesn't do anything to it. Subtract and overlay. I'm actually going to go with, let's check it out. I'm going to go with subtract, but I'm going to go with less opacity because it's way too dark right now. So I'm going to leave it in around like 1/3 of the way, and that's a really cool photo. So I'm going to press my check mark, and we can press export to save it directly on your phone or share it with family and friends. So on screen, we do have what we learned. We learned one, how to create a double exposure in seconds and all of the cool blending options that you have. Remember that you can add one photo or multiple photos, and it's all done on your phone on Snapseed for free, which is amazing. Number two, we also tapped on which photos might be best, but there is no rule of thumb. You can absolutely use any photos, check them out, play around, and see which ones work for you and which ones don't. And again, just have fun, get creative, because this is such a fun process to do on your phone with any photos that you have. So if you do feel that you learned something on how to make really cool photos and how to make them look better, hit that subscribe button, because we're always live every day at 12 with tips and tricks on how to make your photos look better. And of course, don't forget to hit that like button as well if you did like this video. We'll see you tomorrow, and I'm signing out, Giselle Behrens, directly from New York City for Photo TV. Bye guys, have a